Hey guys, welcome back to the Out Jeeping YouTube channel. My name is Austin, and in today's video we're going to be kind of doing a quick little job on this 99 Jeep Cherokee by replacing the exhaust front pipe section. Now on here currently I just have a aftermarket replacement walker pipe, and unfortunately that one went bad as well. I've had that on here for about a few years, so now I got another replacement today from a different company that we're going to be throwing on here and hopefully fixing that all up. So let's dive in, take a look at what we're running with, and I'll show you all the issues that I currently have, and then I'll show you what we're going to be replacing it with. So before this video gets started, I do want to mention that we have some new merch on outjeeping.com. We have some t-shirts as well as many types of decals that you guys can go ahead and purchase if you want to help support the channel. So I got a link down in the description below where you guys can go and click on that. Check out outjeeping.com, pick up some merch, and help support the channel. So let's get back to the video. Alright, so what we got right here is our aftermarket replacement front pipe exhaust section for the 99 Jeep Cherokee. I believe this fits the 96 to 99 Jeep Cherokee. By just the way the exhaust is ran throughout the years of the Jeep Cherokee, they all could be a little bit different. But the brand I'm running here today is fairly inexpensive. I think this is only like 65 bucks off of eBay, but what I like about this one here is that it's stainless steel. Now it's not going to be 3/16 stainless, but it's stainless 304, which is still going to hold up far better than aluminized steel. And I've put a replacement front pipe on this Jeep about a few years ago, and that's failed already. I replaced that one with a walker pipe, and I'm not too big of a fan of walker because of how cheaply they're made, and they just fall apart within a few years. Now, a couple reasons why these front pipes fail on these Jeep Cherokees is, one, it could be a bad sealing against the header, which is up here, or another big one is right here. This exhaust hanger usually breaks, and you'll hear it rattling on your transmission cross member. That's primarily due to this hanger right here and these welds right here cracking off or possibly just rusting out and creating a big hole. Now, mine has that same issue right here with the walker replacement one, and it was rubbing a little bit on the exhaust pipe. I tried pushing it up a little bit, and it actually cracked the welds around it and opened up a big hole, so now I've got a big exhaust leak on there. It's not too loud, but it's definitely noticeable while driving, and it's really annoying, so I just want to take care of it. Now, I replaced my tailpipe section when I replaced my muffler about over a year ago, and I used the same brand, Northeastern Exhaust, on eBay, and I've actually had good luck with it so far. No issues with it. It hasn't been rusting out or anything weird like that, and I do like the quality a lot better than what the Walker has to offer. You'll notice with Walker replacement pipes, if there's any 90-degree bends or 45-degree bends, there's a lot of ribs and everything like that, and how they bend the pipe, and I'm not a big fan of that. That could be exhaust restriction and things like that. This right here is nicely bent, and we should have good exhaust flow through this. Another thing they did include is a exhaust clamp that's going to go on the end right here, which is going to attach to our catalytic converter, which is further down the exhaust system. But overall, on replacing this, it is fairly simple as long as everything comes out nicely. On this end, just slides into our catalytic converter, and already on my Jeep, I have a nice band clamp instead of a U-bolt style, so hopefully I can loosen that up and it should slide out nicely. The bad thing about these U-bolt style exhaust clamps is that they crimp the pipe, which is good for creating a nice tight seal, but if you ever have to replace anything, you're going to end up having to cut things out just because it deforms both pieces of pipe as you tighten them up together. And then over here on the other end, this is where it bolts up to our exhaust header. So we got two bolts going into here. If you have the original exhaust on there, odds are these bolts are not going to come out nicely, and they might end up snapping, or they might be too rusty for you to be able to get a socket on, so you might end up having to cut those off and replacing them. I'm hoping I can reuse the bolts that are on there since I did replace the exhaust header not too long ago, but we'll see once we take the old front pipe off. Another thing you'll notice on this back side over here is we do have an O2 sensor bund. This is for our upstream O2 sensor, so we're going to have to remove our old O2 sensor and replace it inside the pipe right here. So having an O2 sensor socket is going to be nice to be able to remove and install our O2 sensor. Other than that, not too much with this. I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to check it out and purchase one for yourself. So we'll head over to the Jeep, take a look at our old pipe, and start taking things apart so we can slide this new guy into place. Alright, so underneath the Jeep here, we're on the passenger side, and you can see our exhaust. This is our main issue right here with our exhaust rattling on the transmission cross member, and it's just resting on there. And if you go over bumps or anything like that, that's just going to be rattling, and that's not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be held up by that hanger in an isolated rubber mount, so that way you get no vibrations throughout your chassis. And it might be hard to see, there's another issue with the hanger. The welds broke on top here, and there's an exhaust leak right there, so that's another issue with this. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking this apart here. I have a stainless steel band clamp where it goes into the catalytic converter right here, so I'm going to break that free quick, and then hopefully we should be able to slide these two apart. Alright, so I got that free and it's actually loose in there, but I think to get me some more room on getting this off, I don't want to take off the rest of my exhaust, so I'm actually going to jump onto the front section of the front pipe, and then we'll unbolt it from the header and take off the O2 sensor, and then we should be able to drop that down and then pull this forward a little bit to be able to undo this connection right here. Alright, so first thing we're going to do while we're up here is remove our upstream O2 sensor. I already have it disconnected from the electrical. It's just basically tucked up underneath by the engine mount over here on the driver's side. Unclipped that and brought it down here. So now I can take my O2 sensor socket. This should be a 7/8. That's going to slide over this and allows that wire to come out since it has that cutout on there. Now I can take my ratchet and zip this guy off. Hopefully it comes off nicely. I sprayed a little bit of penetrating fluid on those threads as well. Looks like that's a little tighter than expected, so I'm going to take a torch to this and just heat up the O2 sensor bund that's welded in here, and that way hopefully it expands a little bit and then we should be able to break this free. Alright, got that broken free. It's still tight to come out. This thing's going to be hot since we just had a torch on it, so I was going to be careful with it. There we go. There's our O2 sensor, and wasn't causing any issues. It got a little bit chewed up from that socket on there, but we should be able to reuse that just fine. Alright, so next thing we got is those two flange bolts up there connecting to the bottom of the header to the top of the front pipe, and those are going to be some 9/16 bolts on there. I went ahead already and sprayed some penetrating fluid on that, so we're going to see if we can break these free. It's actually fairly loose. Let's get a wrench up on that top side. Oh wow, these are pretty darn loose. I'm surprised. Must have just been all that expansion and contraction, all the heat cycles going through the exhaust that must have loosened these guys up. But the threads still look like they're in good shape, so we should be able to reuse them. There we go. Pull our bolts out so we can take a look at them. Now this whole front side should be nice and loose. Now we can wiggle it out where our cross member is. Alright, so now I'm just working on pulling these guys apart. I got it about a 1/2 inch so far, and I just slid this clamp over to the side so I can see what I'm working with. But put a little bit of penetrating fluid in there, and it's wiggling around pretty good, but as I pull it out a little bit more, it just kind of gets stuck a little bit, so I just kind of have to work it around, and I'm putting my foot on the muffler, pushing that way, and then pushing with my arms on this front pipe, trying to separate this as best as I can. So I'm just kind of moving it around, pulling and everything, and we'll try and get this up. There we go. I'll just let the rest of that exhaust hang right there, pull off our clamp, Now I should be able to pull this forward because this has to come out of the mount right here. And then we're going to come back over the transmission cross member, and this should be out of here. Alright, so we got our old pipe next to our new pipe right here just for a side-by-side comparison, and this is what I was talking about on the old pipe as far as how they did their radiuses and everything. It's kind of like a rib design. That's not doing any benefits. If anything, that's restricting some exhaust flow and things like that. So not too big of a fan of that. Also, it's aluminized, and after a few years, it's starting to rust a little bit. If this was further down in the exhaust, kind of towards the end of the vehicle, it's going to get kicked up with a lot more salt and everything and rust out even further more. So, but I think this is 3 or 4 years, so it did its purpose for what it was, and this was us talking about. You can kind of see a little bit of black right there. That was just an exhaust leak there, and this whole mount is pretty much broken. You can move it back and forth. It's just crappy welds that are on here, and the sad thing is I think this Walker pipe was made in the USA, and whoever welded on it has never picked up a welder before because it's just like bird crap all around this. So not too impressed with that at all. So looking at this one right here, it's Chinese, it's stainless, it's cheap, and it has good quality welds all around here, and I know it's going to last a lot longer, and it looks like, just by looking at it right now, it looks like the fitment's going to be pretty good on it too. So I'm going to throw this in here. One thing we can do right away is put our O2 sensor in while it's up on the bench. That's going to save us some work from not being on our backs. Another thing, I went and just got some new 3/8 bolts. They're going to replace these ones right here. I could reuse them, but they're a little bit rusty and everything like that, and they're only grade 5, and I got some grade 8 bolts right here with some new washers and lock washers, so hopefully those don't back off and loosen on us. As far as the sealing with our header, the donut gasket that seals inside here should be stuck onto the header because obviously it didn't come off with our old one. So you want to make sure you have that before you start bolting this up. Otherwise things are not going to seal up properly, then they have some leaks. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit of copper anti-seize on this thread for the O2 sensor right here. That kind of helps for it to come off if I ever have to take this off again. Alright, that's all snugged up. We'll go underneath the Jeep and reinstall this the way it came off by sliding this underneath the cross member, hooking that into place, and start hooking up both the ends. Alright, so slide this up. I'm going to slide this into that little hole for our exhaust mount. So push it back forward. Then I'll get our clamp, just set that in here. And then I'll try and line this up. Well, a little change on plans on how we're going to install this. We're actually going to attach it to the header first, just because that joint where it goes into the catalytic converter on mine gets about halfway, then it gets really tight, and then if I keep going further on it, I can't twist it into place to line up this. So I'm going to attach this up here first and get the pipe to where it's sitting correctly, and then we're going to attach on the back. I might have to undo my muffler exhaust hanger just to be able to get enough wiggle room to be able to slide that onto there. So I got some new hardware. I'm going to feed down through the top. I put a little bit of copper anti-seize on this as well. And we got this flange we're going to feed up into place and put on our washers and nuts on the back side. Now when tightening up this flange clamp, we want to make sure that we evenly tighten it on both sides, so that way it's not crooked on there when trying to seal this up. Now once that's all tightened up, we can take our O2 sensor electrical connector, kind of loop it through this little zip tie those on the oil pan here, and then plug it back into place. Alright, I loosened up my rear exhaust mount, so this is going to give us a little bit more room just to slide this on. There we go. Now we got to push this all the way. So that way it's pretty much all the way to the front where this expands to get bigger. Alright, so I finally got this on there all the way. This catalytic converter has been on and off multiple times throughout the years, so this end over here is starting to get kind of worn out and too crimped, so I wasn't able to fit it all the way into the front pipe, so I ended up just cutting some slits on here and kind of expanding it up a little bit. Got it on here, then kind of hammered it all closed, and then this band clamp right here should kind of help keep everything together. If you do cut and make some slits, you just want to make sure that you don't go too far, because you don't want it to go further than what these two overlap in, otherwise they have a small exhaust leak. So I got that in there as best as I could, got everything lined up. Now I'm just taking my original band clamp right here. This is a nice stainless steel one. We're just going to tighten this up so it has a nice sealed connection. Otherwise you can use that U-bolt style clamp that came with the kit as well. Alright, there we have it. This guy's all installed. I just got to put the clamp on that I took off on the rear tailpipe or whatever, so I can move this around. I just got to tighten that up a little bit, and then we should be all done with this exhaust system. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Overall, it's not too hard of a process to replace that front pipe. Just kind of depends on the rest of your exhaust, what condition that's in, if it's a little bit rusty or not, on getting those ends in and connected into place. I had a little bit of a struggle on mine, but managed to get it done by doing that slit method and fitting it over it. But as always, if you're looking for a new front pipe, I'll post a link down below so you guys can find that as well. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out outjeeping.com. Our website is now live for merchandise. Check out the website. I'll leave a link down in the description below. If you guys have any questions or comments on the video or anything else on the Jeep Cherokee, make sure to post it down below and I'll be happy to help. So make sure to like and subscribe to the Out Jeeping YouTube channel to help keep these videos coming. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.